Welcome back, blood fans, to another spine-tingling season of Rain of Blood. This is season 4, and we're diving even deeper into the captivating world of sharps and needles, where every prick can spark joy, and every heartbeat resonates with electrifying thrill of connection. I am one of your hosts, Miss Kitten, and this is your sharp conversation platform that celebrates the exquisite beauty of blood play, both its artistry and in its intimate nuances. As we gear up for our next big event or deal, get ready to immerse yourselves in stories that will ignite your passions and challenge your boundaries like never before. From the empowering narratives of those who boldly embrace their desires to the intricate exploration of trust and safety in the realm of kink, we'll delve into it all. But be warned, the season is dedicated to those who dare to explore. So consider this your content warning for discussions that will touch on blood, sharp objects, and emotional landscapes they traverse. So whether you're tuning in from the comfort of your own home or while embarking on a midnight adventure, grab your headphones and prepare to embrace the exhilarating. It's time to immerse ourselves in the rich narratives that weave together the fabric of our vibrant, bloody community. Hey, amazing listeners. I've got a great guest in my studio today and somebody who's not from the United States. Very excited to welcome somebody from Belgium. Aiko, welcome to my dungeon virtually. It's really exciting to have you here, and thank you for joining us.
You're very welcome. Pleasure to be here.
I have been stalking your Instagram profile for a while, so I know who you are and I know what you do, but my listeners have no idea. So do you want to give my listeners a little introduction to who this incredible artist is spending time with me today, and what brought us together?
So, as my day job, I'm a body piercer. So I do just regular piercings as a 9 to 5, I'll say it like that. But after hours, I facilitate body suspension. So I throw hooks like almost every week and try to make art out of that, make some personal rituals, try to make the best photographs that I can.
Your work is absolutely incredible, and some of the positions that you are doing suspensions in are just unbelievable, but they are so correct and they come out so beautifully. But before I go down there, you're a body piercer, which is not a normal career choice. How did that happen?
I kind of rolled into it. So when I was younger, I got pierced a lot, and then I started piercing friends, and then got into a shitty apprenticeship in a local biker studio. And then after a while, I left there because of fascist and racist remarks of the owner. So I left there, started my own studio for a while, and then right before COVID hit, I closed the studio due to renovations needed to be done in the building, and then I started piercing at another just a tattoo studio, and then now I'm working out of Pirate Piercing, who is mostly just a piercing studio, but we also have a few tattoo artists on guest spots.
Amazing. We all have a love of sharp things. I think my first piercing changed my life. I didn't realize it then, but it was a whole career path at the age of 14 without realizing it. It set the stage for a lot of other things. What was your first piercing?
Uh,
Um,
s- so my first piercing was my septum piercing when I was, I'll say 16, maybe 15, something like that, because it was easy to hide. So you could just flip it up and nobody saw it. It was nice because my dad didn't allow piercings. And then after that, I got my regular earlobes pierced. Uh, and then that's about it. Then it escalated to where I am now.
and how many piercings do you have now?
Uh, Roughly counted about 15. So, but I've had more. I've taken some out, re-pierced some. So
And your favorite piercing? Which piercing means the most and is the most comfortable to wear?
For me, still my septum piercing because it was the first one, and now I wear some nice jewelry in it. I can wear some stacked jewelry. I get like 4 or 5 rings in my nose right now. So yeah, it's the most comfortable to have
Amazing.
and
As
the
a
most
piercer,
versatile.
I always ask what is the piercing that you don't like doing? Which is your least favorite piercing to pierce on other people?
Navel piercing and tongue piercings. I do not like being in the mouth, and navels they're so tricky. They don't look tricky, but they're pretty tricky to pierce. So if you don't line up perfectly, it sits wrong, it's not comfortable. So yeah, those two are the least favorite to do.
I've just spent 3 days having a whole bunch of dental work doing and done, and it was very unpleasant. So I have to agree with you with the mouth thing. Although the mouth thing can be a whole lot of fun when you really are playing with fear and you want to terrorize somebody, then a needle and a pair of forceps and a tongue can be an enormous amount of fun. So there is a place for
True.
that, but I respect that. And your journey with hooks, I mean, your work is just beyond. It's so incredible and has so much soul. How did that journey start? What was your first introduction to hooks that kept you coming back?
So my first introduction was just on the web, finding pictures of it, and once I saw the first picture, I knew I wanted to try that. And then when I was around 20, 21, I did my first suspension, which was horrible. It was not what I expected. And I thought it was never going to be something I would try again. And then after, I would say 2 or 3 years later, I got the courage again to try it again with another team, another state of mind. And that sparked everything for me. That's when I knew, okay, I want to try more. And then I started getting suspended like every 4 or 5 months whenever I could, uh, get as much suspended as I could. And then I started just throwing hooks on myself, on friends to see how it would react, how everything would go. And it just rolled very slowly into what I'm doing now.
Okay, so I've seen the pictures of what you're doing now. Do you want to tell my listeners a little bit about that and about just talk a little bit about what you are doing now with suspension because it's quite incredible.
So when I facilitate suspensions, I try to make it beautiful as well. So you can make it very easy with just 2 ropes and just the hooks and whatever, but I try to incorporate as much rope as I can if I can, depending on position, of course. If you're just doing something with 1 or 2 hooks, you can't get thousands of threads going on. But I prefer doing multiple hooks, like 4 to 10, 12, as much as I can, and just let the rope go wherever it goes and make something artistic. Let the rope tell a story as well.
So beautiful. It definitely tells a story and has its own soul. It's really quite incredible to look through the work and also to see the reactions of the people that are being suspended by you because it looks like a very empowering journey. I've had a personally bad hook suspension that went really wrong. So I
Mm.
know that it cannot be like that. So I have huge respect for seeing it work out well. And I think you said something in the beginning where you said that it wasn't what you expected when you suspend. I have to say, I don't think hook suspension is ever what you plan it to be. It's always what you need it to be, and it's
Ex-
never what you plan it to be. And
exactly.
it has an
Yeah.
overwhelming way of just being the right lesson, whether you wanted it or not. It's there. Um,
Y- Yeah,
and
it gets the emotions going. Even if you don't think you have anything bottled up, it will flow in any way or shape or form. Even if it's during the suspension, after, before, there's definitely emotions that come out.
And what is your advice for people who are wanting to suspend? And then preparation wise, what do you recommend to prepare yourself for hook suspension?
So what I tell people to do for as personal preparation is try to the day before, even 2 days before, try to relax as much as possible. Just do some stuff that you like to do, watch movies, read a book or something, just nothing too intense. So don't go sporting or what, well, you can go sporting, but I would recommend something like a slower day. If you're into gym or fitness or something like that, I would just say just go to the fitness, but don't exhaust your body. And then try not to drink any alcohol or any kind of substance the day before. Um, it's not going to be horrible to do that, but it's just going to make it a little bit more intense. Which, if you're into the intense part, it's fine. You can do that. But I would say just, especially for your first time, try to calm yourself. Maybe meditation could work for you if you're into that. Tea, some calming tea. Just try to prepare it as a tattoo session, something like that.
Yeah, I think the one thing that was really helpful for me was that my body was well hydrated. I
Hmm.
have heard a lot of stories about people who pass out when they are suspended. I've never seen that happen. Is that something that you've seen or experienced?
I've seen it and I've seen it a lot. It's especially when you, for a first timer, when you don't know how your body's going to react on lifting from the ground, it's really intense. It's not painful, but it's the mind over matter thing. And people just get a shock out of it when they're in the air. It's not during the piercing, it's not before the piercing, before lifting, but once they lift up, they are 5 to 10 seconds in the air, then all the adrenaline, all the endorphins start rushing, and then it's all usually that's the time when people pass out, if they pass
And
out.
do you bring them back down? What happens in that situation? Are
Uh, so,
you
so
obviously
what?
planned for this. This is obviously something I'm getting a
Yes.
little bit panicked and I'm not even in the room with you guys doing it.
Oh,
And
so,
I'm a little bit panicked. How would you
so
handle that?
So what we do, we just bring them down, get them to a sitting position or a lay down position, whatever is more comfortable. Get them to relax, give them I would say give him some water, but water is actually not the best when somebody passes out, but water also can help to calm yourself. So if you give water, just a little bit of water, not like a whole bottle, don't let him chug the bottle, and then just get him to relax and then see how they feel. Give him like 10 to 20 minutes, and then you just restart. And usually when you go in the air a second time, you don't feel that stress anymore because you've been there. And then most of the people that done their suspension after that, they don't pass out a second time. It happens, but it's unusual.
Yeah, that's so interesting. I've seen it happen when people are piercing, and I've seen people's reaction to needles. I've had people pass out in very awkward positions, but they've never been the person being pierced or dealing with it. I have to say, you spoke there about the going up actually being the worst part of it, and I have to agree with you. Like my for the first time for me, I put so much prep into being physically fit and drinking a lot of water and having good sleep. And I'm a very good girl. If you give me a list of instructions, I will make sure I do them to the best of my ability. And I like the needles were a big deal for me because I've done a lot of piercing, play piercing and stuff like that with a lot of different gauges. But I've never really done huge big needles because I don't do the healing time. So I was a little bit unsure of that, and I thought, okay, those are going to be sore. But that the pull up from the ground was quite overwhelming. You're right, and
Yeah.
there's a moment where you're not quite sure where the fuck you are,
Yep.
what's happening,
Yeah.
and the whole room does spin, and I could definitely see that being the worst moment. And it was something I prepared for everything.
Mm,
I'm over prepared in life, but I prepared for everything. The two things I hadn't prepared for was the actual going up and being off the floor for the first second was very overwhelming. And then the drop was enormous for me. It was a lot more, I do a lot of sports, I do a lot of piercing, I do a lot of yeah, extreme stuff. I didn't expect to drop quite as much from the couple of days afterwards. I think it was about 2 weeks afterwards, and I was down like a stone for about another 2 weeks. It was a lot on my body, and I hadn't prepared for that. But yeah, I do it again in a heartbeat. This time with a team. Tell me a bit
Yeah.
about the team that you work with, and the people that you are throwing hooks with, and who they are to you, and how you guys got together.
So most of the time I work with a good friend of mine, Josse. We got together because he started suspension with a mentor in the King community. He did his first suspension with that with him. But because I know the guy as well, his mentor is his first mentor. Uh, and they messaged me to borrow my A-frame because they wanted to do his first suspension, and I was like, yeah, just come pick it up, and that's how we met each other because he picked it up, and then afterwards, because we live near each other now, he was like, oh yeah, I really want to do more suspension than ever, and we just got talking together, and I was like, yeah, if you really want to get into it, just join me and then we'll do stuff together. And that's how we connected. And now, like 90% of the time, it's just me and him doing the suspensions. Sometimes I'll ask one of the piercers of the studio to help throw a hook if we need to do like 12 or 14 hooks, just to make it a little bit more easier for the person getting suspended. But other than that, most of the time it's just the two of us.
Say, to make it easier for the person getting suspended, I know that we've worked on quite a few projects where we've done needle suspensions, where we've thrown like 120 needles and
Mhm.
then got a person up, and the timing on that gets epic, because if you're not fast enough, by the time you've got the string onto that, the person was last pierced 4 hours ago and still hasn't left the table, you know. When you're throwing hooks, what is your timing on something like that between throwing the hook and getting the person up? What is the perfect in a perfect world?
It depends on how many hooks, but most of the time from piercing, so from skin prep to piercing, that takes about 20 to 30 minutes, depending on how many hooks. If it's 2 hooks, it's probably 10 minutes. The preparation is done. Piercing is a second, I'll say it like that, and getting them in the air, depending on the amount of hooks, I would say half an hour to an hour, but it can also take 3 to 4 hours depending on how many hooks you have. The most intricate thing we did took from start to finish, like until they were suspended. I think it took us 4 hours.
Wow, that's quite
Mm.
intense. And what,
Mm,
just two of you working on the person.
exactly.
Okay, that's super intense. And then what is the aftercare for somebody like that? What does the next day look like for somebody who's been suspended?
So what we do, we clean them up and patch them up, whatever, and we give some extra band-aids for if needed. But most of the time, after like 12 hours, the wounds are closed and they shouldn't need any band-aid anymore. We prefer people just to keep it clean, do not touch, do not pick the scabs, and that's about it. They don't really need to put any ointment or anything on it because the body will heal it from themselves. Like the only positions where I say people, well, only placements I say that people need to be a little bit more careful are knees and elbows, because it's a moving part of the body, and those will probably need a day extra before the wounds are closed.
Yeah, my my needle marks, I must say, I was super surprised. The one has left a tiny pock mark. The rest of them closed really easily. I had absolutely no issue, besides them being really stupidly itchy at one point,
Yeah.
and me wanting to die against the door in the middle of summer. Besides that, they were actually, but my body heals really well, and I have a good understanding of how my healing works and what's good and what's not for me. Um, so what do you advise as the best position for a first suspension?
Whatever they want. There is
But if
no
you don't
really.
know, I got into the whole thing and they were like, a Superman is the best position. And I was like, okay, I have no idea. I mean, like, and I was going to go into my first suspension doing a Superman, which probably wouldn't have been great for me or for the artists doing it because they didn't have a huge amount of experience. So put the two of us together and you had two complete novices trying this for the first time in Africa. And you can understand why we have such a bad rep in Africa for our
Well,
country.
well, what I always recommend, like if you want something with freedom, a 2 point back is the most comfortable. Also, piercing wise, it's not so sensitive. But other than that, I had people doing chests as a first time. I had people doing knees for the first time. It all really depends on how you feel, what you want to try, what you want to experience. But if you want to have freedom and you want to have it chill, a 2 point back is the most comfortable to do.
Okay, great advice. I have really loved chatting to you and getting to know a little bit more about your journey with hook suspension. Thank you so much for your time. I
You're very
am
welcome.
I am hoping we'll get to chat a bit more and we'll get you on our platform a little bit to come and to come and show us some of your amazing craft. And
It
to
would be
my
a
amazing
pleasure.
listeners, thank you for bearing with me. It's season 4, and we have some tickets for Ordeal on sale. If you don't have your tickets, what are you doing with your life? If you need a scholarship, we believe education is for everyone. Pop us a DM, fill out our scholarship form, and we'll send you some tickets. We hope to see you guys soon. Keep the amazing messages coming. I'm going to pop the Superhumans socials in the show notes so you guys can all go and admire this incredible work. And until next time, lots of love and kitten kisses from my dungeon in Cape Town to you, wherever you are.